Hello, everyone. It's been a long 32 years since last we spoke. Welcome back to Fantasy Farm here on Stardew Valley. Let's take a look at what's going on. The spirits are very happy, and the weather reports. There appears to be some kind of anomalous reading. I don't know what this means. You don't say, you don't say. How fitting for things going a bit sideways, given, how things have been recently. For those that were watching this in real time, I do apologize for not being able to update this for as frequently as I would have liked, but a lot has gone on. 2025, man, it's been one heck of a decade. And yes, I do mean decade, not year, even though we're not even a full month in. Thankfully, I have caught myself up on what we were doing via watching previous episodes, so I do know that our primary goal here will be to focus on making the coop and also the barn, and those are our big goals for the season. First things first, however, I am going to put away... I'm going to say exactly 100 of the blueberries, and the rest of these we are going to sell. These are going to start to become our... And I'm also going to put one in the community center chest, of course. These are going to be our replacement for the strawberries in terms of putting them through the casks that we have inside over here. So that is what they will be primarily used for. Once I get down to a low enough number, I will probably stop using these. Probably like 20 would be my guess, and we'll switch over to the blueberries. And of course, by the time we're done with the blueberries, we'll very likely be on to our next item that we'll be swapping that out for. Until then, however, I'm going to destroy this because lightning seems to have struck it, and therefore it will be of no use. Hello, Miss Callie. It has been a hot minute since I've seen you. So yes, why exactly did it take me so long to actually record anything? Well, you guys actually got to see the benefits of having scheduled uploads because I believe it was around the 5th or 6th of January that I was actually unable to do anything, and the reason for that was, and I might show a picture of it on screen that I took, as you can see, yeah, things went a little sideways. I'll probably be off-screening the usual things that we do here in cutting down the logs once I get the axe. But yeah, put my computer to bed, it ran just fine, had no problems, and then all of a sudden I opened it up the following night, and it gave me a BIOS error, which could mean a couple things, and just... completely out of nowhere. There was no preemptive, like, oh, it was showing signs of having an issue. It just straight up happened. I tried everything I could. I called a couple friends that I know that are actually good at tech support, and they gave me an idea of what all the things I could try, and they couldn't figure it out either. So eventually, I had to take it to a repair shop, and they couldn't figure it out for a very long time. Usually their turnaround is like 3 to 4 days tops, and it took them just over 2 weeks. And the reason for that was because, again, out of nowhere, it was a failed SSD drive, which was, of course, the SSD drive on my laptop, because I have 2 of them, that Windows was on, so it did not recognize Windows. So, thankfully, that was a relatively easy fix once we realized what it was, because you could just replace the SSD drive. But it did mean that I was not able to play for a pretty substantial amount of time, which is unfortunate. I did, of course, lose everything on that drive, but due to the automatic repair loop issue that I think I mentioned before that I had in August, most of my stuff was already backed up anyway, so I didn't really lose too terribly much. But it did mean that there was a while that I just could not do anything, and then once I got my computer back, the universe was like, hey, congratulations on that. You're gonna catch a cold the next day. And that's what happened. And I'm still on the very tail end of it, but from what I've noticed in the past, oddly enough, I really don't seem to sound like I have a cold too badly whenever I do. So we should be okay there. Right. We are now back, and I'll talk about one other thing that happened as well that also semi-delayed me, though not as much as the other two, thankfully. We are at a point where we have to decide what to do. The spirits are happy. We are halfway through our month. And our skills, nothing is at level 10, so we could focus fishing. However, we do need to grab more coal, so I think that will be our focus. And part of the reason I want to grab more coal is I do believe that in addition to starting the coop and the silo, I do think I want to start building out this section over here of having more sprinklers and therefore more space for crops. In particular, once fall starts, I'd like to have a good chunk of that taken care of. Oops, there we go. It's been a while since I have messed with these controls, and as a result, I'm making some pretty dumb mistakes here. There we go. There is no traveling merchant today, so there is no need to check on that. However, I do want to check the bulletin board and make sure that if anybody's got a birthday, that we don't miss that. So yeah, the other thing that came up was whilst I was sick, all of a sudden, oh, hey George, we'll talk about this in a second, I guess. How am I going to reach that letter in the back? Well, depending on how flimsy the mailbox is, you could kind of like grab the box and kind of tilt it forward. Here, let me help you, Mr. Molnar. Maybe ask, don't just do it. There you go. Huh, could have done it myself, and I certainly move around on my own. How feeble do you think I am? Delta, you're watching us? I was. Did a kind thing there, Penny. I was. You should have asked George, or you should have asked instead of assuming George wanted help, and I'm just taking a walk, minding my own business. I believe this is actually an event for Penny, not for George. Well, no, I think it is one for George. I'm gonna be nice, even though, yeah, she should have asked instead of assuming, and she definitely shouldn't have pushed him out of the way. She should have asked if he could, if she could move his wheelchair, or if he could move so she could help him. But I'll be nice and say you did a kind thing there. I just wish George wasn't so upset. I was only trying to help. No, I'm sorry, miss. I shouldn't have gotten so angry. It's actually very kind of you to help me out. That's okay, Mr. Molnar. I understand. And away he goes. It must be difficult to grow old. I'd rather not think about it. It's just a different part of life. That's why we should respect our elders. Or I'd rather die young. I'm willing to bet that's probably not a good response. I'm just going to go with, it's just a different part of life. You're right. We shouldn't ignore the reality of aging. I guess the sooner we come to terms with our mortality, the more time we can spend really living in the here and now. Well, it was interesting talking to you, Delta. I should go. See you later. Oh, and another event. I think this is Sam's. No, this is Emily's, actually. Ah, another beautiful day in Pelican Town. Look at all those birds. My friends. And we've got the geese flying through right now, so I've been hearing a lot of birds. Ew, that made a squishy sound when it hit. Oh no, you poor thing! Your wing's broken. Oh, you're a bit different than the others, aren't you? Just like me. Don't worry, I'll nurse you back to health, little one. Everything will be alright. Emily took the injured parrot into her home and bandaged the wing. He's all set up in her room, but as a token of respect, she didn't give the bird a name. Sorry about that. I had to pause to blow my nose, so I did cut that out, but wanted to make sure the time did not continue to pass. Alright, let's check the bulletin board here. Does anybody have a birthday today? No, we're good for today and tomorrow. And looking for copper ores, I might grab some of those, since we are going to go ahead and be heading that way. I could probably do that. Grab the ticket, which would be nice. Because while I do need the gold and silver, or the iron and silver, rather, or let's try that again, the iron and the gold, getting some copper would not be a bad idea either. Gardening's a hobby of mine, so I'm excited for the warm weather. Demetrius is deep in thought. Well, that's okay. I've been there before. So easy to get caught up in the noise of the modern life. The best years will pass you by in a formless blur. That's why you gotta learn to slow down. Indeed it is. Actually, yeah, we'll probably go to like 15 and check for the copper ores, I guess. I actually don't know what a good number is here. It might be just going to floor 1, actually. Yeah, this looks like a, an okay spot to do this. Well, that said, I'm actually not too sure. I know there was that one time I tried this on a good luck day for the iron, and it took quite a few attempts for it to show up, and then once it did, it started showing up in excess. Let's try floor 5, and we'll see how big it is, and if it's not a very big floor, then that might be... No, this is a bigger floor. Already tried 15. Let's try 11, perhaps? Oh, this is also a big floor. Uh, 21. Yeah, this is probably a good pick right here. 21's not too big of a floor. But yeah, the other thing that happened was that just out of nowhere, I wasn't there when it happened. But yeah, my dad was planning on heading into work one day, and then all of a sudden he just started getting really dizzy and vomiting and passing out. Just, like, from great health to, or not great, but, like, from feeling fine to not feeling fine in the span of, like, 2 to 3 minutes, just seemingly out of nowhere. So that was a fun little scare, because even though it probably wasn't the same thing, that was similar symptoms to what my grandmother had whenever she passed away the following day, and I was like, nah, I'd rather not have the same song and dance occur, even though it's, again, probably not the same thing, like, a month apart from each other between two people that are in my family. Let's not do that. And he being the stubborn one, of course, did not want to go to hospital for it. And everybody basically said, well, you're the primary care provider along with your son for your wife, so too bad you're going. And thankfully it appeared to just be something with dizziness in the inner ear, which, again, yeah, that does make sense with the symptoms. So hopefully with medication that should clear up pretty quickly. But yeah, that was a fun little scare on top of everything else, you know, in case everything else wasn't enough. In lieu of that, I am running a campaign to just erase January off the board completely. If we could make that month not exist anymore, that'd be great. I don't know what it is about January being such, like, bad luck, but for me it usually is. But thankfully all that is taken care of now. So instead, let's talk about that weird weather reading and what that means, because I've kind of been hinting towards the fact that something might have happened on your file, and it probably already did, because it's usually it occurs sooner rather than later, but it will occur once every year, and it will always be in summer, and it will be on fixed dates, which you've already seen. But ours will be coming up soon, so if that is the case, make sure in particular that you do not upgrade any weapons or any tools, rather. And if you are planning on getting them back today, make sure that you do not forget them. In particular, what you're going to want is the axe. You'll also want the scythe or... hold on a second, I want to see where I am here. Oh, only 15, okay. In particular, you will definitely want the axe. You can either bring the scythe or the sword. Either one will work, but it will essentially be chopping down trees and cutting grass. So that's why I say either the sword or the scythe. Either one will do. But you definitely do want to have those, for sure. So if you don't have the scythe, just take your weapon with you, whatever you got. And we're not going to be able to turn these in today, so hopefully we'll be able to find Clint tomorrow. That's what we need for the copper. I'm going to go ahead and finish grabbing everything on this floor, though, because we're already here. Well, I heard a bug, but I never ended up seeing that flying one, but that's alright. I'm going to keep a spot open here, just so I can more clearly see exactly how we're doing on iron as we go through this. Should have checked how much we moved up in farming. I'm not sure if I was at 6 or 7, but that was a lot of blueberries we harvested. I didn't make a note of it, but it was very nice. And we'll be getting that at least one more time, probably actually a couple more times, so we'll have more to look forward to. Oop, there is one down there. Good thing I checked. Nah, they're not close enough for me to bother going out of my way for. But yes, the good news is I'm going to try to get 2 of these recorded, but do bear in mind, like, if the toolbars and stuff are slightly different, or if the sound effects, like that sound effect, the crystal break sound effect, that's what I use for whenever little notes pop up and stuff. If they sound a little bit different, that's almost assuredly why, as I had to go and fetch those again and put them back in my library to be able to use. So if they are a little bit different, that's probably why. They shouldn't be too terribly different, because again, I can watch the episodes back and make sure that I'm at least getting the right sound effects. So I'm not worried about, like, just using a new one altogether. I do remember the setup for how everything works. I did do 20 videos prior, 21 videos, or was it 22? One of those two numbers. I did about 20 videos either way, so I'm sure I can use those as a reference pool if I need to do so. There we go. There's one of those nice big veins of ore that I was looking for in previous times that I came down here. I'm going to try and grab about 50, and then if we've got more time, I'll probably actually go ahead and move to grabbing some gold as well. And it looks like we're going to have enough time to at least attempt to make a little bit of a run at that. Oh, we're full on inventory. Let's give up some stuff here. I could sell those boots in the ring, but it's not that big a deal, so I'm okay with giving those up. That puts us right at 50, so let's move to floor 80. Ooh, fire quartz. Very nice. And ended up getting some iron ore down here anyway. Alright. I'll take it. That was not the floor I meant to go to. There we are. Ah, right, we're out of space again. We'll eat this, because I don't really need to keep the cave carrot. And I do believe we have enough crystal fruits so that I can give that up as well. Sure, I guess we can take a quick little peek here. Nope, not really anything. Alright. Nothing else down here, just a lot of fiber. It is worth noting if you foolishly, and yes, I am mocking you for this, even though I'm about to say I did the exact same thing in my first time playing Stardew. If you foolishly just decided to throw away your fiber thinking that you wouldn't need it anymore, I got bad news for you. You've probably made a terrible mistake, especially if it's winter, because you're not going to be able to pick it up very easily again. That floors in the mines are one way to gain that fiber back if you do need it for any crafting thing. So do bear that in mind. I could probably give it up here and be just fine because I've got plenty, but it is just a thing to note that if you're realizing, hey, I need this for a crafting recipe, and then remembering, oh shoot, I just like threw that all away not that long ago, thinking I didn't need it, and surprise, I actually do need it, then there is a way to pick it up. You don't have to just wait until a following season or spring to roll around or something like that before you have an opportunity to pick some up again. It will be there in the mines even on a winter day. Alright, I think that will do us, as I do want to make sure to get to bed at a good time here, as you're going to want as much energy as possible. I can obviously eat to restore that, but I do not want to miss out on anything. Much like an Aerosmith song. Well, no, don't put that up. There we go. Now we can put all of this away. Yeah, just out of curiosity, I might put that there. We'll put that up. Put this up. Might as well get our stuff ready here. Getting the scythe, the axe. That should do us. Oh, is that what I think it is? That wasn't part of that event that's coming up either. That was, if you heard the owl hooting, which you should have. Level 8 farming, watering can proficiency, hoe proficiency, and at last, the almighty keg. Many people would consider this one of the most important items in the game, as it can turn your crops into very profitable things. Primarily wine, which is a very good option. Also the oil maker. You can use this with regular oil as well as truffle oil. If you have pigs that can get you truffles, then you can put them in here. However, there is a little bit of a quote-unquote gimmick to this one, and that's if you choose a tree branch which lets your foraging items, or your forageables, be max quality, which is foraging level 10, then it's actually, you're better off not using the truffles to turn them into truffle oil, as they'll sell for basically the same price. Maybe the truffles themselves are a little... It's either a little bit more or a little bit less, but the time that it takes to wait for the oil maker basically means that it's not worth the time. And also you get deluxe speed grow, which is very good. There we go. About 8,000 for the blueberries, and bear in mind we kept 100 of them, so like you could put another 550 on top of that with pretty much no problem. So while it doesn't seem initially like they give a lot, bear in mind you get multiple blueberries per plant, and also you get multiple harvests per plant, so these are definitely a very good money maker for sure, for certain. Day 16, and a green rain, I can finally call it that, has descended upon the valley. As you can see, the weather report and fortune is a bit weird, but yes, we've got green rain. Saw the weather report last night. I'm not sure what will happen, but if anybody wants to take shelter in the saloon, I'll keep it open all day. Gus. Gus, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You're a cool dude. Always willing to make sure that people are fed, safe, you know, they've got a place to go if they don't know where they can go or where else they should go. He's just a good guy looking out for people like that. You see Callie's water bowl is filled, but yes, all of a sudden with that green rain on the valley, there is a lot of debris on your farm and other places like Cindersap Forest. So you're going to want to clear this out, as not only does this actually give you EXP for getting the, in particular, big spots of the various things that are scattered around your farm, you'll also notice that I am picking up the moss that I mentioned in a previous episode, that you're going to want a ton of this, and this is going to be your optimal time to pick up a huge amount. The crops are ready, but if you can actually believe it, I'm going to forego picking them up in favor of the green rain, as the crops will still be here tomorrow. What will not be here tomorrow is all of this debris, so I do want to grab as much of this as I possibly can. I'll come back to that section since I'm going to leave south and head to the forest after this. And basically, we're not going to worry about anything else today. It is worth noting you can go around town. Pretty much everybody is going to be in their houses or at Gus's saloon. Mostly trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Because, to be fair, if it started raining green rain and you had no idea why, and nobody had any idea why, it would be a bit odd, wouldn't it? The only people that will be outside is Demetrius will be outside in his biohazard suit, unsurprisingly trying to figure out, again, what the heck's going on. And I think there might be one other, I think it might be Linus, like, he's just kind of chilling and being like, oh no, this is just part of nature, so he seems to be okay with it. But for the record, it will not mess up your crops, it won't damage them or anything like that, it won't hurt you, the player, by being outside in this stuff, so you'll be just fine on that front. So it's not just this stuff that you'll be cutting down. There will be some other stuff that will appear as well that we'll probably be seeing decently soon, but we will get to that when we get to that. I am going to still grab forageables if I see them, if they're just right there, of course. Yeah, it does feel very weird to do this, but I promise you this is well worth your time to pick up this moss. It also gives you fiber as well, so again, if you're running low or you just heard that thing that I said of don't throw it away, you will need it, then congratulations. If you have not hit your day for green rain yet, then you're still going to get that opportunity. Oh, here's Leah. Hi. Where'd all those plants come from? It's a surprise, but I'm not complaining. A surprise it definitely is. The first time I saw this, I was like, what exactly is happening here? This was added with the 1.6 update, I do believe, so I'd played the game before and never seen this, and wasn't sure if it was like a rare event and I just never caught it, or what it was. And of course, I looked it up, and other people were like, yeah, I got this too, I'm not sure what this is, so... It's the cool part about having new updates like that, where everyone's like, what's going on here? Where it feels like kind of out of place, but not out of like the reality of it could happen in the universe that you're playing the game in. They just honked their horn very loudly. Sure, their parents are very proud. Based on the location that was from, I'm very sure that was in a parking lot. Really is a shame about car horns, like, because there's really only two ways outside of, like, physically sticking your hand out the window or something like that to get a driver's attention to communicate that you're doing something as the other driver, and the horn is one of those two things. The turn signal is the other. But it's just such a loud, obnoxious noise. I do like the idea that someone, I think Mark Rober, came up with of, like, you should basically have 3 types of horns. Like, one is just a small little, like, hey, I'm just trying to get your attention, and then you actually have, like, a louder one of, like, hey, you're being obnoxious, stop that. So that way, like, every time you're trying to get someone's attention, like, hey, be careful, it doesn't sound like you're being rude. Here is the other thing that you wanted to bring the axe for, is these weird-looking trees, quote-unquote. I'm not really sure I'd call them trees, but for lack of a better term, I suppose that's what we will call them. These odd-looking trees. I did say that there was one other way to pick up the fiddlehead ferns, and it is by chopping these down, as you do chop them down with the axe as if they were a tree, but as you see, when they fall, you instead get fiddlehead ferns instead of wood, primarily. I wouldn't waste your time cutting down regular trees during this event, and the reason for that is because new trees will appear in locations that they don't typically appear, but unlike these, and unlike the moss, they won't disappear after the Green Rain Day is over, so you'll still have plenty of time to chop them down at a later date. So it's not as big a deal if you don't have the time. And if you're playing on a single-player file like me, you probably will not have the time. I will go ahead and tell you right now, there's a very good chance we're going to be passing out in the field, because I'm just going to keep working on these for as long as I can. For the big thing that you want the moss for to craft, I believe you need 333 pieces. And as you can see, while we're making good progress, the odds of actually getting that are not super, super high. So since we will likely be running out of time on that, I want to make sure I can grab as many things as I need. It's weird. Usually with events, I'm not, like, super big on the whole, like, type of event where it happens randomly and you're basically just forced to drop everything in order to go and deal with whatever issue comes up. It's one of the things that I'm not super big on. I know this is going to be a weird comparison, and I haven't talked about this game in a hot minute. Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness does this with the mirror radar, where the only way to find wild Pokemon in that game is to leave little lures, as it were, Pokesnacks, in certain parts of the world, and then once the radar goes off, your snacks will start to be eaten. But if you take too long to get there, then you've got to put down more snacks. So you have to get there in time, so it is a case of you basically have to drop everything you're doing and go to whatever location that the radar goes off on in order to be able to potentially catch whatever Pokemon you're looking for out there. And there are some very good ones in those locations as well. But oddly enough, this is one I actually kind of don't mind. Maybe because you get a little bit of a warning the day before. As long as you're keeping up with the weather reports, you'll know, like, oh, hey, tomorrow I'm going to have to just primarily focus on this. So it does make things a little better in that regard. But I think it's also, like, as you saw with, in particular in the start of the game, I just like clearing out the areas of stuff. I'm not even, like, OCD. I don't keep my apartment, like, super tidy. I still clean, don't get me wrong, but it's not like it's always, you know, in pristine order. I think I've talked about this before, but, like, everybody sort of has, like, their threshold, and I usually say it's usually a number between 1 and 10 of, like, you can let your house fall into a mess, and, like, a level 1 mess is, like, you know, basically like, oh, there's a cup left out or something like that. Like, it's barely a mess at all. It barely qualifies. Something's barely out of place. And 10 is, like, hoarder level of bad. Like, you can barely walk through the house because there's just so much junk. And obviously, an ideal balance is usually the best. Where you don't want it to be a total mess, but you also don't want it to, like, control your life either. Of everything has to be neat and tidy all the time, 100%. It takes precedence over everything. And I'd probably sit at, like, I would say a 5 is probably, like, the max for me. Like, if I start getting, if I have, like, a trash bag that's full, usually I'll leave it by the door, and just the next time I go out, I'll just take it with me. But if I've got more than one bag of that, like, of trash, because the bags themselves aren't very big, and I still also need to clean on top of that, at that point, it's like, okay, I've got to take time out of my day, and I've got to actually, like, clean proper here, because it's getting out of hand enough to where it's... I wouldn't even really say gross, I'd just say it's, like, it's a distraction, if anything, for me. There's one of those wild-looking trees. I don't remember if those disappear, but they do just drop regular wood, so if you do want to take your time to chop them, then go for it. But if not, it's no big deal. So other places you can go, since obviously we're not going to have time to show it all, the forest is, in my mind, the predominant place you want to go to get the bulk of your items, but you can also go into town to find those little fiddlehead fern trees. You can also get them there. Taking the shortcut behind your house is one spot known as the Backroads. You can go back up to where Linus lives at the mountain pass, and they'll be there as well. I'm not completely sure about the train station, but that would also potentially be a spot. But I usually find myself predominantly here during the day, and we'll probably still be able to clear everything out enough to go into town at the very end and get some additional stuff there. But in my mind, going through the forest here is your best bet. And the good news about the moss is while the moss tiles like this disappear, if a tree has moss on it, because you're probably not going to be able to get to all the trees, definitely not in a single-player run for sure, but the moss will stay there, and I believe it just has a higher chance to appear after this green rain has happened. I'm not completely sure about that one, but it feels like it does, and you've already seen it appear on trees before. But I am sure that it does stay there if you didn't knock the moss off during this event. If you come back the following day or 2 days and see it, you can still grab it then. I do believe we've actually cleared out the forest, aside from this path I'm going to walk along here, because sometimes there will be a little patch. Yeah, right there. One of the other nice things is you can also check the trash cans and not have to worry about people being out and about, because clearly they will not be out and about in this type of weather. I'm going to take a quick check on the beach just to see if anything's down here. I doubt anything, like, interesting will be here, but... I know I said I wanted to prioritize above all else, but I just kind of wanted to see if there was anything interesting there. But it looks like not, and you know what? That's okay. It was worth checking. You might also notice that we picked up a couple of these items, mossy seeds. These can only be planted to grow, or these can be planted to grow rare wild seeds. We'll talk more about that at a later date, since quite a bit's going on here with the green rain, so I'm not going to focus on it right now, but just wanted to make note that you can pick those up as well. So if you see those, hang on to them, because they'll be pretty handy for something later. They'll probably be put into the summer chest that I have. Normally, you're not allowed to chop down trees during or trees that are in town, but the trees that do grow in town that are not here normally are an exception to the rule. You brought the ores, Erica. Well, I didn't bring them, but I did take care of them. No rare gems inside, that's okay. Here's yours back in payment as promised. This must be there must be a meaning behind this. Nature's trying to tell us something. What though? I can't tell. It's hard to read. I feel a strong presence, though. It's situations like this where a person's true character is put to the test. I'll keep everyone safe from the toxic rain. I don't think I've ever set foot in this place. It's actually kind of cozy. Oh, I'm not worried about the rain. I'm sure it'll pass. Let's not get in a tizzy now, Gus. I propose a round of drinks to settle the nerves. Saw the weather report last night. It really gave me a scare. Are there monsters out there? What's happening? No, there will not be any monsters out there, thankfully. But that is a good point to bring up. Just got off the phone with the governor. Apparently this rain is supposed to be completely harmless, just an unusual phenomenon of nature. Still, some of the townsfolk are panicking, which is never good. I mean, understandably so. Again, it is kind of weird. I hope these weird rains don't bother the fish. It could ruin me life. It's a sign from the Almighty. We're doomed. You're right. We're all wondering what's going on. I brought some medical supplies just in case. Be careful out there. So yeah, quite a few people are hanging out up there. And again, not all of them are there. As you can tell, some are hiding away in their rooms. I should have checked and seen if Sebastian or Sam or Abigail were over by the pool table on the right, because that's where they hang out on the days that they're over there, which is usually Friday night. Nice. Managed to grab that forageable before I passed out. So 285. That's not bad for pieces of moss. We got a ton of fiber. And also, we have this event. Mystery boxes can now be found. These are an interesting new addition to the game, but again, we'll talk more on those in the next episode. For now, thank you all for watching. This has been pitmarthroy here on Fantasy Farm with Stardew Valley, and in the next episode, obviously we'll be putting all this stuff away, but we'll be talking a little bit more about a little bit what happens after the green rain, because now that it's happened, it's happened. We'll talk about the mystery boxes, and we'll keep working on getting things ready for the coop in the barn, which I do believe we might be in range of being able to start that now, which will be exciting. And we'll also potentially add some more sprinkler tiles to the farm. Until then, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.